I'm author Mark Muncy,
And I'm author Erika Lance.
and this is Eerie Travels. Greetings, travelers.
Greetings. I don't know why I keep saying it like that. Greetings,
Greetings.
travelers. I'm now a
It's very
Greetings,
Ferengi,
travelers.
Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Greetings. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. It's very maniacal. I don't know what's
That works
happening.
still. That works still. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we are back and we are here. Thank you guys for joining us. Now we're twice a week and you're still coming, which is great. So
Which is great. Mark hasn't scared you away. I'm impressed.
I know, and we're still entertaining according to all the reviews and all that. So
Yes.
thank you all so much for sharing and leaving those comments and all that. Even the bad ones, we take them. We work. We want to be better. So it's all good.
Listen, we've shut off our Discord, okay? So
Yes, Discord is
yeah.
now off. So and Facebook is off. So yeah, so you won't hear ding 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 ding. Yeah, so
Yes.
the two guys that were complaining about that, I apologize. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Listen, we take your listener stories very
Yeah.
seriously.
oh my gosh, yes. And we've gotten some great listener stories. Thank you all so much for saving up for volume 3 of our listener tales. But we do have a few that we get that we feel like really need to be spoken very quickly. And
Okay, just for the record, Mark likes to share these. So, in case you're wondering, your listener story isn't less than another listener story. He just gets excited.
I just get excited. Some of them are like, oh my gosh. So this one, I'm going to start with this one. Let's
Okay,
start before we go
okay.
any further in the episode. Let's do this. Let's get this out of the way. So this I got from Scott in Brooksville, Florida. So which we had discussed on a previous episode. We talked about Brooksville's like one of those underrated ghost towns, but this guy, he's like, hey, as a truck driver, I used to take State Route 471 through the green swamps south when traveling to Lakeland from up north. When
Okay.
sitting in the tractor, I am about 6 to 7 feet up in the air. It was about 3 a.m. and I was the only vehicle on the road when I saw something bipedal about 50 yards walk onto the road. It turned and looked at me with reflective eyes, turned to its left, and walked back into the woods. This thing was eye level with me. I can't confirm what it was, but I didn't want to see it again. I found another route to get to Lakeland.
So
Now
he's saying this thing was 6 or 7 feet tall.
I reached back out to him to see if this was a Bigfoot or a dog man. He's like, I don't know. It was big and it was dark and it had reflective eyes and it turned around. So this could be anything. And he refuses to take that road. So for those of you driving through the green swamp, which now for those of you who don't know what the green swamp is, if you look at Florida from space at night, you see all these beautiful lights along the beaches and along the cities. And then there are these dark spots. And the south one is the Everglades. The one on the west is Lake Okeechobee, and a little north of that is the Ocala National Forest. On the Gulf Coast, you'll see Mayaca State Forest, and then this area which is called the Green Swamp, and that is the headwaters of all the water for Tampa Bay and most of Central Florida. And it is literally a swamp. It is hunting and fishing paradise, but it is also just swampland.
So, and we know what likes to live in the swampland that meets
Yep.
that particular description, don't we?
As some people call it the swamp ape, but in Florida, we call it the skunk ape because he smells bad and is about 9 feet tall, supposedly, and and he has reflective eyes, and this is a bipedal thing and all that. So is that what he
Yeah.
saw?
Yeah. Hey, just be happy it didn't stop in front of your truck, because I don't think these are pleasant things when you encounter them for real.
I don't know. It didn't seem, he didn't threaten him or anything like that. So it was literally turned and ran away. So
it turned and walked. Let's
away.
clarify.
All right,
His story did not say run away.
All
and
right.
not only that, it had the desired effect. He doesn't go that way anymore. So I think it did its job.
It did its job. It did its job. Ain't that the truth? So
So I think that's interesting because of my breaking news story.
breaking news.
Yes. So this was on BBC. It's actually a video and we can post it. We'll post it in the links, but one of my favorite things in the entire universe may be actually real.
What?
Which is
What's your favorite thing that isn't real?
I can make a list, Mark. We
Okay.
can put on that list.
But this might be real. So what is
this
this?
might be real. How about a man that cleans up after himself? Just
Oh no,
just kidding.
that's
Figments of
impossible.
my imagination. No, teasing.
Impossible.
But this is unicorns. So I've
What?
loved unicorns since I was a kid. I think a lot of us, especially young girls, tend to love unicorns. It's not a sex thing. It just happens to be
Hey,
a lot of times that's the case. Young boys, I mean, fantasy novels, we all love unicorns. Well, apparently they have found some skeletal remains of a bipedal, not a bipedal, a horse-like creature.
Yeah.
And they're not big like modern day horses and what people think of modern day horses, but with the horn. So they have some skeletal evidence that they've now found where they believe it's in what people probably thought were unicorns. Because we've talked about it a little bit, like narwhals and things like that, of the unicorn of the sea. And people used to take their horns, which was horrible, and say, look, they brought back a unicorn horn and blah, blah.
Rhino horn and other things like that too. Yeah.
But this looks like this may be a unicorn. So I would love for our listeners to check out the video, not while you're driving, and see what you think of what scientists have found. And this wasn't on like the Inquirer. This was on BBC. So there's a little more credibility to where this came from.
Yeah, and and this, it goes back to the the Middle Ages. There was the alicorn supposedly, and then there's a bunch of other animals that were given unicorn names. So we don't know. I love that, for a long time we didn't believe the narwhal existed. Now we know. Yeah, it's real. So could unicorns exist? I'd like to think so. I love Last Unicorn's like one of my favorite books, and it's my wife's favorite book.
Movies.
So the movie's great. It's Schmendrick the Magnificent, and all that. So, it was one of my favorite wizards of all time, gang.
If you've not seen it, it is a cartoon movie, but it is not a campy cartoon movie.
No, it was. Was it Don Bluth? I think it was Don Bluth. It's or it may have been.
It's whoever did the Hobbit movie. It's the same person.
Okay.
And not Peter Jackson. People who are listening.
No, the animated Hobbits. So
yes.
But anyway, it is an amazing movie and an amazing book series. Peter Beagle did the book, and he actually did a sequel book fairly recently, and pretty epic. And I know it's considered just one of those great classics. And
yes.
It's definitely, and it was the Rankin Bass was who produced it. I'm looking it up right now, and it was just Rankin Bass. So they were the ones who did the Hobbit movie. So very cool.
Well, cool.
All right, but anyway, so unicorns might be real, gang. So
unicorns might be real. I'm excited about that. So
I just think it's because none of us are virgins. You can't see them. So
well, I wish it looked like that. I'm anyway.
That's the classic legend anyway.
Yeah, so. No, the classic legend virgins, but that makes a lot of sense because a lot of the Anyway. Anyway,
we just got back from an amazing trip.
Where travelers, you might be wondering?
We were traveling, and I traveled up to this wild place called Western North Carolina.
Dun dun dun.
And there's this person who lives up there named Erika Lance.
She hunts the mountains.
Yeah, and and I went up to their amazing mountain fortress, and I used my secret password, speak friend and enter, and was allowed to visit the docking bay of the USS Normandy.
Yes,
So
yes, yes. Look at all these references. And no,
yeah, look at all the
this
nerd
is not a
references. You
travel
catch
stop,
all
just for the
those?
record. We're going to discuss the travel stops. My house is not a travel
But
stop.
anyway, so we got to get together and
Mhm.
do some exploration a little bit. And we also got to make our world domination plans
Yes.
as we do our world tour planning. We are on the road to Dragon Con. We are on the road to Mothman Festival. We are going to be on the road to Spookala. We've got all these events forthcoming, and we want you all to see us at all these things. But this was kind of a cool first step, and we had experiences on the road that were really cool. And as I like to say, I am not a paranormal investigator. I am not a Bigfoot hunter. I am not a UFO hunter. But I go with Bigfoot hunting teams. I go with ghost hunting teams. I go with big, UFO hunting teams and get their stories. And that's why we can bring them to you as Eerie travels.
Yes.
But one of the first places we went to was themed perfectly for us, right?
Yes. No, it was. And I learned something when we went to that place. So,
Yeah.
we went to Waynesville, which is a wonderful town you can visit, which is between, it's like midway up between Georgia and Asheville, I think, or so.
Somewhere
Anyway,
in that area.
yeah, somewhere in that area, but it's called Waynesville, North Carolina. It's a very cute little town. And they have a place called Boojums.
Yeah.
And Boojums, I did not know that Boojum, am I saying it correctly?
Boojum.
Boojum is the name for our little friend that we were discussing earlier in this episode.
Which
It is a Bigfoot, right?
It is the Bigfoot. It is the instead of the skunk ape, you guys call him a boojum. It's in that area of North Carolina, South Tennessee, and even North Georgia. That is one of his many names. We there are all the names for him all over the world. There's the Yeti. There's the I still think that's a different creature, but Bigfoot, Sasquatch, the old man of the woods, the tall man of the woods, the wise man of the woods. There's all these different names for him. And Boojum is, it's a short for, down here in Florida, we have the Barden Booger. Boojum is another word for boogeyman, and it's fun. There's one of my favorite events in West Virginia is the Woodburger Jamboree and the Wood Booger Jamboree. And I'm like, all right, so yeah, that's basically Boojum. But this is a distillery.
It's a distillery that's in downtown Waynesville. And we just happened to come up, it's posted on our Facebook. There's a picture of us on a bench that says, beware of the Boojum. And I didn't know what that was. And Mark pointed it out. And I just have to say, for all of the things I pay attention to in life, I happened to look over at the beautiful mural that they have on their wall. And I think you got a picture of it, so maybe we can post it. And it's Sasquatch feet in a forest.
You see this. It looks like these little animals by these, this giant tree, but then when you look close, you realize the tree are 2 feet.
Yeah,
and
no.
So that's the secret, the secret that you don't see the Bigfoot because of the trees. So
no, that's that. And guess what? Your lovely co-host Erika did not see the Bigfoot for the trees in that particular picture. So.
And now we were staying at an inn in Franklin, the Best Western there.
No, was it in Dillsboro?
Dillsboro, right? Dillsboro.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're right. Thank you. And it was on the Little Tennessee River, and it is beautiful place to stay, and it's right next to some train tracks where the Smoky Mountain tourist train goes through, the Smoky Mountain Railroad.
Which is you can do a normal train ride with them. You can do a sort of a booze train ride where you can do a whiskey train ride, and you can also do a wine train ride, and I think you can do a local beer train ride, and that goes right through Dillsboro. That has a couple of restaurants that we went to, which was the R&R Tavern.
R&R, which is railroad. Yeah. And it was at an old train station that's been converted into an amazing farm to table restaurant.
Oh, that's Foragers. So
That's
they're on the,
Foragers. Sorry.
yeah, they're close
R&R was
together.
the other location. Yeah, sorry, I
Yeah.
got them confused. R&R was very good too. So
Yeah, they're both amazing. R&R has a bathtub you can take a photo in out front. And then you found kind of an amazing coffee shop down there too, didn't
yeah,
you?
yeah. Oh gosh, Carrie's gonna kill me because I can't remember the name of it. So, but I'll put it in the notes. But it's a very artsy coffee shop in a 200-year-old building. I was just thrilled by the building, and the coffee shop was a young proprietor, and she really put her work into it. And I got a nice Blackbeard chai that was one of her creations because I love my teas. And then Carrie got a coffee from her to die for, and we can't wait to come back. It's going to be awesome. But
Is,
across that
isn't that
train
the
trip,
Heart Coffee Company?
Heart Coffee Company, yes, because there's little hearts on all of her coffee cups. Thank you. You're the best.
I had to save it because if somebody's going to travel up this way and
Yep.
come stay in this inn, when you explain what we have.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about this.
So yeah, so that
Yep.
Dillsboro is a little teeny town. It used to be a railroad town, literally a railroad town. If you want to see what a railroad town looked like, this is
exactly that. Yes.
this is it. And but Foragers, farm to table, everything super fresh, which is made from the old railway station. And then R&R is just a little building that you can tell was part of the railroad system.
Yep.
But that is a great place. And then the Heart Coffee Shop. So you got to find
Yep.
some really yummy food and stuff
These are
there.
hundreds of year old buildings and stuff. So of course they've got ghost stories, they've got legends, they've got all kinds of stuff. Every single one of these places had a ghost story, which was amazing to me. The Heart Coffee Company has a ghost story on their second floor, which is a more like a thrift shop, is like an antique store in there. And there's a ghost of a man who walks around upstairs. I'm going to do research. I'm going to find out who this guy is. The R&R Railroad has a ghost of a conductor that supposedly haunts that building and is seen just making rounds, like checking for tickets before you load onto the train. And then the it was just so cool. And while we're at the hotel, across the street from us was an old abandoned couple railroad cars. And Erika and I, we had to go up to it because one of them called to us, because it was the old car for the scenic Smoky Mountain Railroad used to do the Halloween Express. And this old car still had jack-o'-lantern on the side and all that. Now train tracks are non-trespassable. People don't go there. Don't climb onto the old abandoned train car, but you can take a picture of it. And it is right across from this hotel.
And don't do it when they're running the trains.
Definitely
train
not.
schedule. Stay away from it when they're running the trains, because trains do not stop on a dime, by the way, my friends.
Nope.
But there is an I think there's a little video because you threatened to go inside that particular train.
I was joking. I was like, yeah, hey, look, Halloween Express, let's go. And that was fun. We had fun with that. But now, all that said, we had experience in the hotel.
You had experience. So what is the name of this? Is the Best Western,
Best
right?
Western in Dillsboro. And now I was able to, well, I don't want to spoil anything. So
no, don't spoil anything. Tell me. So I came to pick you up for us to do more of our world domination planning and go to eat at haunted restaurants, because like you do.
Yes.
And go find out what Booja meant. I felt a little dumb after that, but that's fine. I've recovered.
Bookstores and look for bookstores. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's fun things like that. But let's talk about your experience the first night you were there.
Yeah. So the first night I'm there, it's got kind of a, we're setting the AC. We're doing all the things that you do when you get to your hotel, because we're Florida people. You got to crank that AC down to 0, even though it was 38 degrees when we got up there. Which
I was going to say it was 38 degrees at night, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Continue on your
but anyway, I'm still, getting everything set up. We put a bunch of, anyway, we get our stuff set up. We put our food and drinks in the fridge. We've got things organized. I get the meds all set up because, hey, I'm an older guy. I got to have my meds. And then, we get comfy. We turn on Forensic Files. We're good. And
because, by the way, you can find Forensic Files on TV no matter where you stay in a hotel or motel,
either HLN or whatever channel the smart TV has. There's usually a Forensic Files channel, and that's what Carrie uses to go to sleep. So that's her white noise to go to sleep is, and the man buried the body. And,
I appreciate Carrie for that, because
Yep.
I will fall asleep to killer shows, and my other half is like, could we
it's so funny.
watch anything else?
Yep. It's so funny where my kids can't stand the spooky stuff, like that, but they can fall asleep to murder things. And
Yeah.
I'm the same. I'm the same way. I can do both. But anyway, the I'm going to sleep. We go to bed. It's been a long journey up. I'll talk about a couple places we stopped on the way up after the break, but we're crashing, and I just about get to sleep, and I hear strange noises that sound like a beating of drums. And I'm like, wait a minute, we're not too far from Cherokee. This is former native lands. And I'm like, what is going on? And I'm like, and I'm like, and that's not outside the hall. This is in the room with us. And I'm like, whoa, that woke me wide awake. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. And then I felt a presence, like something in the room with us. And I'm like, okay, whoever you are, we're just visiting. We're coming through. We're exploring up here, and we mean you no harm. Please just let me go back to sleep. And it immediately went away, the sensation. So I think I did what I needed to do. Drank some
And
water.
sometimes you just got to tell them, like,
Sometimes just tell them and put them in their place. But also just tell them you're not in there. You're not bothering them. You mean them no harm.
did you not open the door to see about the drums?
Well, that was just, I went to the hallway to see if maybe something unusual. I looked down the hall, nothing. I don't hear it anymore. I'm like, okay. I go back inside. It's gone. It's all gone. I'm like, all right. And Carrie, of course, oblivious, slept through the whole thing. Because that's Carrie.
Carrie's our hero for that.
Yes, she is the ghost lodestone. Nothing affects her. So I finally get back to sleep a little bit later, and the next morning, I had to tell Erika about my strange experiences.
Yes.
And then we're going to take a break, and then I'm going to tell you what I figured out.
You are such a tease, but we will be right back with Eerie Travels.
Eerie, Appalachia. Gear up for a frightful jaunt into the darkest reaches of the ancient Appalachians. Folks deep within the Appalachian hollers lean close to the campfire to share stories of the inexplicable with hushed awe. Monsters rumbling in the hills, strange lights darting through the pitch black night sky, horrible occurrences almost ineffable in their bizarre tragedy. Tall tales, you might say. Tell that to the Flatwoods monster in Braxton County, West Virginia, or the Goat Man of Louisville. Look into his humanoid eyes and let him know you don't believe. And what of those apparitions in Mammoth Cave's Corpse Rock, or the Satan spawn known as the Jersey Devil? How do you respond when confronted by these mysteries? From the metaphysical energy that swirls near Serpent Mound in Ohio to Point Pleasant's Mothman legacy, Mark Muncy and Carrie Schultz explore the dark history lurking in the shadows of Appalachia. Read by Mark Muncy, author and experts on strange folklore with appearances on shows such as Ancient Aliens, The Curse of Robert the Doll, and many, many more.
Greetings, mortals and others. I'm Dick Terhune, the voice from hell. I work with haunted attractions all over the US, Canada, and Europe to increase audiences and enhance their experience with highly effective commercials, narrations, animatronic character voices, whatever your dark heart desires. Let me help you do more, scare more, profit more. Find out more at Voice from Hell on Facebook and at voicefromhell.com.
And we're back.
So, you were terrible tease there, Mark.
Yes.
About
So I tell Erika all the strangeness that happened, and then we went on more adventures for the day.
and I firmly decided never to stay in this hotel. Continue.
But then I get back there that night, and I realized what the drum sound was. I figured it out.
And what was the drum sound?
All right, Mr. Skeptic here, I have to, I'm a believer, but I'm also, hey, let's debunk these things because sometimes it's simple to function.
sometimes you have to look at it. You can't just believe. You have to look at what potentially it could be, but you can't go too far the other direction where you're like, no, this is scientifically blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, no,
because you explained the drums, but you didn't explain the presence.
Right. And that's just it. So the drums were us from Florida putting our water bottles in the refrigerator in the cabinet that's under the TV. And we put our hot water bottles that had been with us on the road. And now we were in this cold area. They all were freezing in the refrigerator, which we didn't realize the refrigerator was set that cold in the hotels. Usually they're not. And they started popping. And the echo of that popping on, and it's muffled inside a wooden cabinet. Boom, boom, boom. Almost, haunting of Hill House banging on the walls. And I'm like, and then it happened the next night. I put another water bottle. As I was putting water bottle in, I heard one of them pop as I realized they're iced now. And I'm like, oh, and I'm like, and as it echoed, I was like, there we go.
Well,
So,
at least it wasn't something coming to hunt you on night 2. So
nope, exactly. And then now the presents, I still can't explain. It was just a strange feeling. Did not happen the rest of the time there. So,
well, it obviously wasn't the Hat Man, because he wouldn't have just left by you saying, hey, we're here to visit. So
and
maybe
also
it was a neighbor. You don't know.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been one of our following ghosts that has followed us through Hellviews and all that. So
you said Hellview. So
yeah.
Anyway, well, let's just round this up.
Let's round this up. So
good adventure.
On the way up. We got to stop at one of our favorite places, which is Yamer Farms in North Georgia. They are a wonderful family farm. They do an amazing pumpkin patch and maze every Halloween, so it is worth your trip. About an hour south of where we were in North Georgia. It's very close to the Bigfoot headquarters in Blue Ridge, Georgia, and highly recommend you go there. They have all the latest produce, all the fun things. They make handcrafted pies that are like the old school Hostess fruit pies, but they're like twice as big and they're fresh. They made them with the fresh fruit that they picked that day. Yeah, and then they make these amazing sandwiches. We always suffer their sandwiches. When you get like their turkey and cheese sandwich, it is literally, you feel like it's something mom wrapped up for lunch. When you were 9 years old and going to school.
Wow.
And you open it up and you open up the plastic, and the turkey is like super thick, and the cheese is fresh farm cheese, and it's white bread that they baked. Oh my God, it's incredible. So, and then get their boiled peanuts. They have a giant tub of boiled peanuts outside, and it is the best boiled peanuts in the world. So Yamer Farms, we love you. We can't wait. We'll be there every weekend when we get up that way. Anyway, yeah, my mouth is watering just talking about all that.
I noticed that. And don't forget, you can visit Dillsboro. You can stay in the haunted inn. Of course,
the Jarrett House is being rebuilt, which is a famous old railroad bed and breakfast. It was a boarding house, but now it is going to be a bed and breakfast, and that should be opening later this year. They were working on it, and they're restoring it to its natural glory. So I'm excited.
That's creepy, and just literally gave me goosebumps, because
there's only 4 murders happened there, so it's
So we'll do some more on this.
When it reopens, we will be visiting, and we'll tell you all the gory details then. So for future use. But yes, I mentioned Hellview, and you listened to the episode.
So for the listeners that may have not listened to the Hellview episode, shame on you. But if you haven't listened to it yet, it was an episode that I unfortunately was not able to attend. But you had our producer Callie was on there, and your other little spawn, aka mini me, Beth, was on there.
Yes.
And you were talking about, because I'm not going to give it all away. But Callie was being me on the episode, and I full appreciate, because she said one of my favorite words in the entire world, and that's how you know it's me, which is fuck. And she did a brilliant job of being me. She also did, I would say, a very good job, not brilliant job, of keeping you kind of on task, because I realize that the Muncies cannot be left alone to their own accord because
We will bunny trail. We will bunny trail
shiny
like
objects
nobody's business.
everywhere. But what was really, I mean, the entire story of you creating Hellview Cemetery is amazing, which was a haunted house that you used to have in your backyard, that became really well sought after until the city decided to be assholes and close it down. But one of the things I thought was really interesting is your discussion of the fearmonger.
Yes.
Because this is something I think is not talked about a lot. And you mentioned that on the show. And it is something that I think children are almost more prone to than adults, right? Yep. And, you know, we talk about not knowing what things are. And listen, I on some things, I know I'm much more of a believer than you are, Mark. And there's some things that you have more knowledge of. But one of the things we universally agree on is that there's stuff we just don't know that exists. And we don't have necessarily a quote unquote real good scientific explanation. Sometimes scientists like to say things. And I reference our the sleep episode where we're talking about the Hat Man, and we've had listeners write in about the other versions of the Hat Man that are in, and we'll cover those in a future episode. But sleep paralysis, and that's what we were talking about, and how people describing sleep paralysis, when scientists try to talk about it, they're not including the entity part or the feeling of hands on the chest. Like, I get if you feel you can't move, but it's different when you feel like you're being held down or you feel like you're being muzzled in some way. And the fearmonger was something similar to this. I already got the heebie-jeebies. I want to say, just for the record on this entire conversation, nope. These kind of entities that create this fear and feed off of fear.
Yeah, they literally go after your phobias. And it's we were talking about Chillingham Castle in Scotland, and we talked about a couple other places where these
excuse me, I'd like to clarify where you thought that was, as somebody of Irish descent, Mark.
I thought it was Ireland at first, but it's Scotland. So
yes, it is in Scotland, which is not Ireland.
No, I know, I screwed up. So
that's okay.
And I got enough grief for that.
For all the Irish people out there, I had to.
I got enough grief. Thank you, people who wrote me emails.
Yeah, no, thank you for doing that, because
why? It switched off the people who were mad at you about the Twilight vampire. So
I was going to say the vampire. Stop trying to get them back with the vampire thing. They should be mad about the Scotland thing. But yeah, no, fearmongers.
Yeah, they are a thing where they there's one of the early episodes of the great show, A Haunting. They were talking about one that was in Cleveland. And the guy literally saw a creepy clown in his house, and it's because he's terrified of clowns. This thing literally goes after your worst fear and brings it to you, and then feeds off your fear.
Clowns are terrifying. I had somebody listen to the episode that was talking about their fear of clowns, and they kind of wondered. I don't know if you've heard of that clown motel. I think it's in like Arizona or New Mexico. And it's so you can stay there, and the whole thing is themed clowns, but not like happy clowns. Like it's creepy.
Terrifying. Yeah.
It's kind of like these doll places that had like the doll hotels. I will never be staying there, so don't ask. And she was talking about, you wondered if there was one of those there, and got me thinking. And this is something, and I know we're going to have a future guest, and maybe we have him on sooner rather than later, James Michael Roddy, who worked at a lot of haunted houses. But I kind of wonder, these fearmongers at places like Halloween Horror Nights and things like that, because there are some places they set up specific for those events. And do they live there? Mark, you work there. Talk about that.
And that's just, if it's, if you're going to generate all this fear, and if these things feed on it, of course they're going to be drawn to it. It is, that's like, open season. It's like, our boy Colin Robinson from What We Do in the Shadows. He would just love an insurance salesman convention. This is the type of thing like that. This is, blood in the water. So these things come and then they enhance it. And I used to joke when the psychic told us about it in our backyard, I used to joke to the psychic. I said, do we have to pay him because he's making our scares better? Maybe that's why we're getting such great reviews when we have a budget of about $8. Yeah, and it was because was that enhancing the fear? Were people seeing ghosts that weren't there? And we did have people tell us, oh, that scare in that one area was amazing. And I'm like, we didn't have an actor in there. We didn't have anything. So, it's, their imaginations were playing tricks with them, or was it that?
Well, and it sounds like just from the stories from your children that it absolutely was something was driving this, and being into fearmonger or whatever. Like it's interesting because I think we've all had times in our lives, potentially, maybe not, maybe you're one of those people that's never scared, go you, that happens where it's almost, there is irrational fears, but there in the moment, the fear is irrational. Like, it's not like you saw a clown jump out from a bushes, but all of a sudden you walk down a hallway and you're suddenly terrified, right? For no reason. And you start putting into place what gets associated with that fear. It leads me to wonder if any of the paranormal investigators and stuff, and we should ask some of them about this specifically, have tried to go out and do research in places that have so much fear being generated in them.
And and that's honestly, we think of things like Waverly, and Penhurst, where they were just in asylums, and there were terrible things going on there, and maybe that's why these areas are so much just naturally creepier. When you go there, you get that sense of dread and fear that could be these things. Again, we don't know the rules. We don't even know if these things exist. I mean, are they fae? Are they because that's what the Scottish people at Chillingham think it's a fae creature or an elemental spirit, because it's not, a natural spirit. It is a poltergeist. It's literally just this thing that just, you feel fear and you feel terror, and, but it's not like a normal ghost where we're just walking through the wall and doing the same thing it did 100 years ago.
And the same people don't report seeing the same thing.
Right.
So that's what makes it a little different, because it's that gentleman that you talked about in the episode that talks about the clown. Clowns are creepy to me, but that's not on my top 10 list of creepy things. I just, and same with you. That is not on the top 10 list of things that necessarily creep you out. But there are things that if we were in the same place at the same time, what would we each see?
Yeah.
And can it react that way? I'm curious, because another thing I thought of, which I'm going to go on a slight tangent here, because
that's all good.
Talking about traveling is, I wonder on some of these, like you hear about the penitentiaries and even like the May Stringer house, which I went to and stuff. When you go, you already know it's haunted. You know the rumors, you know the things. So trying to prove or disprove it's haunted, I kind of wonder what would happen if you took them there, sort of like blindfolded, muted, like so they can't hear, don't know any of the backstory. Like, don't try to set them up. And obviously at night, it's going to be really creepy, because anything like that, the woods here, you were here, it gets dark here. It gets super
very
dark.
quick. I'm like so excited.
Yeah. But, you take somebody to a place like that during the day and go, how do they react? Do they just think it's an old abandoned building and it's fine? Or do they immediately have a reaction like the terror, the fear? Because I don't know. To me, it's interesting when you set the stage, like going into a haunted house, you are prepared to be scared, at least jump scared in a haunted house. That's what the majority of scares, I think, are in haunted houses, are jump scares, right?
Right. You usually set up and distract. It's like you have those beautiful set, you have the, the animatron that, jumps out at you. That's actually not the scare, because it's the actor who gets you from the other side that gets you. So it's a setup, knockdown, and that's all most haunts are. Is some of the better haunts are setup, knockdown. Some of them have these amazing sets. We love our Netherworld because they do it so well. It is immersive. It is literally like walking into another world. And then it's a setup, knockdown, and and that's what these are. It's just a matter of what level they set it up at. One of the famous things, Ben Armstrong, who runs Netherworld, joked about. He said, he's this $2 million haunt, and then they got this second warehouse next to him, and he didn't have time to set it up for Halloween, so he did what was called a blackout maze, where it's just completely pitch black, so no set design, no nothing, and he gives his actors night vision goggles. And so, while the people are walking through completely pitch black, they can walk up right behind you and go, hey, or boo, or just basics. And he got to the end when everybody's filling out their exit surveys. What did you like the best? And he was so happy that Netherworld always scores well, but that little blackout maze scored better, and he hadn't spent any money on it. He's like, that's all I'm going to do from now on. It's just going to be black, everything.
Well, and it's true because you lose all the rest of your senses, and
you become so heightened for terror. And if something jumps out at you in the dark, yes, you flinch, you get scared. That's the whole point.
So I have two prospects for our paranormal investigators. One, I'd like to see more investigation on the fearmonger phenomenon in places that routinely have scared people in them regularly. Not like the asylum.
Not a haunted location, but something that does a haunted house, an attraction.
Yeah, something like that, where go when it's at the peak and look at that sort of thing and where the pieces are. So that was number one. And number two is I'd love to see them do some investigating with people who are not prepared, do not know they're on a paranormal thing, think they're just giving a tour, something where
going
you
into
place
some old building,
that is haunted, but just don't tell them any of that. Make them think they're doing something else and see how that goes for them. Because it's different if you already know, we know something is haunted. Like I'm not going into the attic of the May Springer house again. That's good. I'm hard pass. I'll let you go up there. Yeah. I will stand outside and I will, direct people as to where they can get possessed by an evil person upstairs. But, if I already know that, so going in there, I'm already heightened to that. So what would happen is if you sent somebody up to that attic that had no idea why they were in that attic to begin with.
Yep. Just look at the historical artifacts up there and just tell me what you think, and and that's what the point of a couple of these paranormal shows is like, the Dead Files. One of their things is they have their psychic go in unknowing everything, but it's television. Remember that, gang. It's television. This is coming from Mr. Curse of Robert the Doll and a few other paranormal shows. Remember, television. So it's entertainment. But it is still cool. Sometimes you get the history. So,
you do. And so, our travels for this time is travel to Dillsboro, travel to Waynesville, North Carolina, if you'd like to. The farm is located where?
Gamer Farms. It's on Old 441, and we'll post the link, in the shop. It's in North Georgia. So
perfect. And I'm just going to say for parents out there or anyone, if your children are having a lot of nightmares and things like that, maybe get some sage, maybe look at things, whether your belief is there or not, there could be something that's feeding off of that.
Yeah.
They may legitimately have a monster under the bed.
Yep. It certainly doesn't hurt to have some good intentions to take care of things. So,
and whatever your belief system is that will have that, do not get your child exercise. That's not what we're talking about. But maybe cleanse the space. And
now, do you have a paranormality article?
I do. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I
let's
forgot.
Do that before we walk out of here. So yeah.
Oh my goodness. This one is funny. It made me laugh so hard. And I think as I read it, I was like, okay. So paranormality. Ready?
Yeah.
Bank manager stole money to pay a witch doctor.
Hey. Wow. You talk about Breaking Bad.
Oh no, this is a lot more than you would think. Former bank manager Engelborg Strauss,
wow,
that's a name, was sentenced to 8 years in prison by the Swampmund Regional Court for stealing $1.16 million from the Standard Bank and allegedly using it to pay for the services of a witch doctor. Strauss was sentenced to 10 years, 2 of which were suspended for 5 years. In a trial of theft and money laundering, right? He pleaded guilty to the theft, but not guilty to the money laundering, because he admitted that stealing the money and leaving $800,000 at a bridge as instructed by the witch doctor, Mama Lala. A few weeks,
Madam Lala, you got to know that. That's got to be real.
A few weeks later, he put money into a bank account under the same person's instructions. Both women claim they were scammed by Mama Lala. Oh, this is yes, Mama Lala. During the judgment, the court acknowledged Strauss's severe financial strain and honestly, but emphasized that the true victim was the bank because none of the stolen money was recovered. And this is in Nambia.
Oh,
so
man.
The fact is, this bank
Scam
manager
in Nambia? That's crazy.
stole almost $2 million, 1 point almost two for rounding up, to give to a witch doctor. Now, here's the only thing about the magazine article that I didn't love was it didn't mention what he was paying for, like what he thought this witch doctor.
What was that going to get him?
Exactly.
Was it going to get him a voodoo doll? Was it going to get him this or that? One of my favorite things ever was the great Vincent Price, my ringtone. Was once on Hollywood Squares, and the question that was asked to him is, "What you go to the acupuncturist, and the acupuncturist pokes the needle in you. What happens next?" And Vincent Price just leans down and says, he leans right close to the camera and he goes, "Somewhere in the world, a small doll dies."
Okay.
Oh,
so
perfect.
He is perfect. I actually just on Paranormality magazine, the Nambia magazine is actually where this came from. And it turns out the money was stolen actually to help do a ritual to get them out of financial struggles, right?
Oh,
but
because $1 million to get $1 million more.
Yeah, because Mama Lala could not sacrifice a cow.
They refused.
She wanted money and started threatening the family.
Oh yeah, gonna give you the evil eye, gonna give you all kinds of craziness, Yeah. So that becomes blackmail. So
do not get
black
involved
magic
with witch
mail.
doctors.
I don't know what you'd call that.
Don't get involved with witch doctors.
And he said to me, "Ooh ee ooh ah ah, ting tang walla walla bing bang." So
yes, I'm gonna let that go because you were supposed to say how one gets a discounted subscription to that awesome magazine.
Oh, yeah, you could use that magic word, but it's not going to work. So go to paranormalitymag.com and use the code TRAVELS, not ting tang walla walla bing bang. That won't work. Use the code TRAVELS and you get 10% off, and off anything there, not just subscriptions. You can get the individual issues, which are great. There's one with our good friend Jim Butcher, does an interview. One with our friend Dave Spinks. There's one that details some other people you might know. But also you can also
talking about himself.
You can vote for your favorite paranormality podcast, your favorite paranormal podcast.
And that could be us.
Month. And we would love if you put us down. So and then you can get those amazing articles. So, and tell them we sent you. So
yes, absolutely. Have fun with it because it can definitely lighten the day and make you definitely think to yourself, I wouldn't fall for that.
Or would I?
Yeah.
But
okay.
They do. I think the Mama Lala just wanted to talk to them about their car's extended warranty. I think that's all. Really. So, but anyway, gang, thank you so much for joining us again on this Eerie Travels. I know it wasn't quite our usual, but we hope you enjoyed it. And we are going to be at a bunch of events coming up. So go to eerietravels.com and you can find out all the latest and greatest of places we're going to be. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, all the fun things. We have a link tree, Eerie Travels, that you can also find now, which has all the links to all our stuff. And we're going to let Destiny play us out. Erika, any last words?
Come see us at one of our shows. We're going to have merch. We're going to be there. You can bring me threatening vampire tapes. I heard that's coming. I can't wait.
And we will see you all on the other side.